Let's take a trip across America and see how many of these facts you may know. This episode is on Washington, D.C. The White House was being built while George Washington was in office, so he never actually lived there. The Washington Monument as it currently exists is actually a massive failure in comparison to the ambitious original design, which had called for a series of columns and statues of George Washington and 30 other figures from the Revolutionary War. Only the tower itself, composed of Maryland marble, was completed due to budgetary reasons. I hate to be the guy responsible for repainting the outside of the White House. The task requires 570 gallons of paint to cover the exterior surface. A Lincoln Monument Association was created by Congress just 2 years after Abe was assassinated, but construction of the Lincoln Memorial did not begin until 1914. The 36 columns represent each of the states in the Union at the time of Lincoln's death. The remains of unknown soldiers from various conflicts are found at the Tomb of Unknowns in Arlington National Cemetery. The unknown Vietnam soldier is no longer unknown. In 1998, DNA testing confirmed the remains of those of Air Force member Michael Joseph Blasey, who was shot down in 1972. He was transferred to his family in St. Louis, and the unknown Vietnam tomb was left empty and reinscribed in honor of all Americans missing servicemen and women. The Martin Luther King Memorial was made in China. Chinese sculptor Li Exing was in charge of the project and made King's image out of 159 pieces of pink Chinese granite. The statue of Andrew Jackson in Lafayette Square, across from the White House, is partially made from British cannons that were taken in the War of 1812. One of the most famous men in history, artist or otherwise, is Leonardo da Vinci. The National Gallery of Art, located in Washington, D.C., is home to North America's only Leonardo da Vinci painting. One of the most famous days in American history occurred at Ford's Theater shortly after the American Civil War. It was on that day that John Wilkes Booth killed the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. The bullet that killed Lincoln can be seen to this day as it is on display at the National Museum of Health in Washington, D.C. D.C. residents pay taxes to the federal government like all citizens of the United States, but they do not have a voting representative in Congress. So that is why you will see D.C. license plates on cars that say taxation without representation. The White House was originally called the President's Palace or the President's House. A Baltimore reporter once called it the White House in a newspaper article, and the name caught on. Theodore Roosevelt made it official in 1901.